Hey there, I'm so excited because tonight I wanted to talk to you about my introduction to the occult and to New Age practices and the Christian community. Because my introduction to New Age practices actually came from a Christian business coach. And so I want to talk about this a little bit. So when I first started freelancing, back in like 2017, 2016, something like that, I was still working as the CMO of a fintech company. And because I was only 26, 27, I felt like I had peaked, right? There was nowhere else for me to go in the corporate world. And so I decided to start my own business many moons ago. It's been like 5 or 6 years now. And so I had no idea what it took to necessarily run a business, right? I knew marketing, but I didn't know all of the other like aspects that went into running your business. And so I searched like far and wide for a Christian business mentor, and there were very few of them back in like 2016, 2017. Like people were definitely not as vocal in this space about their faith at all. And they definitely weren't putting it out there in any way, shape, or form. It was really hard to find. And so I found somebody, and she sent me a welcome packet. And in it, it included a ton of books. I actually still have one. I actually still have them all. But the one that she sent me, and this was my introduction to occult New Age practices, was a book on the Enneagram. And it was a Christian book on the Enneagram and like trying to figure out your personality as it relates to like biblical, figures and things like that. And it was just a super interesting book. And I had no idea. I was a new Christian. I didn't grow up a Christian. And like I had only been a Christian for like 3 years at this point, 2 or 3 years at this point. So I had no idea anything about the Enneagram. It was the first time I had heard of it. And that actually just happened to be my very first introduction. And it came from another Christian. And so I just point blank trusted what she gave me, because they didn't know how to read my Bible. I didn't know how to, fact check what I had been given necessarily. And so, you know, I I saw that and I like continued, I was like reading it a ton. I like showed my husband this book and things, and I was like, oh, this is really cool. Until I learned, right, the history of the Enneagram. And so I feel like I'm in like a really fortunate space where like my husband comes from a very like new age occult background. And so it's been easier over the years to like pick up on these practices, right? And so I think we hear it all the time, right? As Christians in business, we hear about manifestation, we hear about they replace God with the universe. There's chakras. I know one of my friends, like anytime something bad happens in her life, one of her clients will tell her to like sage her whole house or like hire a shaman and things. And that's not what we do. It's not what we do. And so I will never forget. I had um I had this experience where somebody was in charge of sales and I handled the marketing for the clients that they converted. And it started getting very new agey. We started getting just a ton of new age clients that were talking about chakras and new moon rituals and all of these kinds of things. And it just did not sit well with my spirit, right? I told Glenn like I was getting headaches. I didn't feel good. It was stressful, but it was a steady source of income for me. And so, and I still hadn't found Christian women in business yet. And I didn't have like a good group of women that I could rely on that were biblically sound. And so I felt like I was like stuck in this place. I felt terrible physically. It didn't sit right with me morally, right, at all. And so I left. I left that whole situation and have been doing things on my own again. For the first time, I've been doing things on my own in like 18 months. And, I walked away from a steady paycheck. I walked away from, you know, normalcy, I guess, right? Like it was very normal, it was very easy. But God really convicted me, like, this is not the place for you. And I had no idea what was coming. And so I started, blogging more again about faith things. And I led this really incredible, like 10-week course, hybrid coaching, mentorship situation, teaching moms how to read their Bible and like disciple others. And from that, I found real community. I found real Christian community. I found women who are rooted in God's word. I found women who are putting God at the forefront. And I mean like hundreds of women, thousands of women who are doing this and stepping out boldly in their faith. And it was everything, and it is everything that I wanted and needed. It was everything that I felt like I needed. And I'm so forever grateful that I found it. And I've just been learning so much and growing so much. And it's really special. Like every Monday we get together and pray together. That's really special. I've never had that before. Like anytime I reach out to the creators of this community, I'm like, hey, can you pray for this situation? Instantaneously, they are praying for that situation. And you can tell that they really care. Like they actually care. And it's so refreshing and it's so unique. And I'm so grateful that I found it, because I stepped out in faith. I stepped out in faith. I left a situation that, while it was comfortable, while it provided my family the financial security that we really needed, it was not, it was incorrect, right? It was not the way that God wanted me to do things. And so I stepped out in faith. I leaned into what he asked me to do. And in return, I've been blessed exponentially because of it. I mean, Glenn was given a new job that made up my income difference. I found this community of women that are just so supportive and wonderful and amazing. And, they don't believe in competition in the kingdom, right? We are fully, I mean, they'll highlight people who do the same thing as they do because they don't believe in competition in the kingdom. And I think it's so special. It's such a special place. And I've never been a part of anything like that in my life. And so I say that because if you're a Christian and you're like, I am looking for community, I am looking for somebody who can lean in with their faith, I'm looking for somebody who can lead my business in a biblical perspective, then comment below, because I want to get you plugged in. I want to get you hooked up with these women, because it's literally, finding them was one of the greatest decisions that I've made. And that was definitely divine. And so if you're seeing this and you're like, hey, I could use this too, then let's talk. Comment below. I'll get you plugged in, and you'll find your place. I promise you will feel better knowing that there are women all around you supporting you and cheering you on from a biblical perspective. I promise it will sit well with your soul. I promise that God will be pleased that you've stepped away from the manifestation, from the occult, from all of these things to follow him and his principles. And so, like I said, if you're a woman in business, or you want some personal development, right? My course is in this community now, teaching women how to read their Bibles, the literary genres, how to disciple others. Like if you're looking for faith building activities too, then this is the place for you too. Maybe you don't run a business, but you're like, hey, I could also use a Christian community. Then comment below. Let me get you plugged in, because I promise it is going to be the best thing that you've ever done, my friend. So until next time, I will see you soon, friends. Bye.